Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Paulzpodz. It's your favorite podcast host, DJ El Pablo. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Paulzpodz. And I'm your special host for today. My name is Let's Promise. And this particular episode is in honor of the International Women's Day. Today we'll be discussing a very special, exciting, and very, very informative topic. Our topic for today is the Superwoman. The Superwoman. Now, every new movie, or most movies these days, try to portray a very strong female lead. You have boss ladies, you have female characters like Miss Marvel, the Black Panther, you have Spider-Woman, and you have even the Black Widow, and so many other movies that show a strong female character. Now, one thing all these movies actually get is that they actually show that women have superpowers in this case. And that is true. Like, I kid you not. Every woman has a superpower. And in this case, we have Siri. Now, everybody's wondering, like, what is Siri? Siri is S-I-R-I. S stands for sexuality. I for intuition, R for reproductive abilities, and I for influence. Now, we have in us superpower, which I will pick out as influence. Now, what is this influence? If I'm permitted to say, I would say influence is our greatest power of all. Amongst all four powers, I would say influence is the greatest power. Now, what men, I dare say, have is authority. They have the figure. They have, I am the man of the house. You do what I say when I say it. But we have influence. Authority says to you, you have to do this. And you have no choice but to do it. But influence makes you want to do it. Influence puts in you the desire to do it. Influence convinces you that you actually want to do it. And that is what every woman have. Now, if you look at in the case of Esther, let's look at the book of Esther chapter 5. Esther was a very simple woman, but she had influence. You can look at the case where the man called Haman wanted to destroy the Jews, and he had already planned how he was going to go about it. And Mordecai brought this to the notice of Esther and told her, see, you are not exempted from this. Don't think because you are in the palace, you are exempted from being a Jew. It doesn't change you from being a Jew. If your people go down, you are going down. Now, Esther realized this, and then she decided to do something about it. Now, if you have studied the book of Esther, you would see that this is a very remarkable pattern she used. She was able to get the king to want to do her bidding. She was able to make the king crave to just please her. Can you imagine? Where the king is like, Esther, what do you want? Just tell me. Esther, you have to want something. The king wanted her to want something, to request something of her. And that is influence, because she had the initiative to do what she had to do. She was able to, coerce the king. She fed him. The Bible says she created a banquet. She created a massive feast in honor of the king and this supposed evildoer. He was even thinking, even me, I'm honored before the queen, not knowing that he was going to meet his death very soon. But that is what influence does to you. And every woman has this. Now, some people have actually used this influence for evil. You can see in the case of the queen Jezebel and even Delilah. They knew the power they had, but they used it for evil. They are the villains in this story. But you choose to be the superwoman. You choose to be the hero. You choose to save the day. You woman. All right. So the next thing I would like to discuss is the sexuality. Women. We are created to be very attractive beings. We are very attractive. We're beautiful. And I don't think God made a mistake in making us this way. God God deliberately made us beautiful. God deliberately put in us those sexual attributes. And if you know how to use it well, you will actually get the right result. Now we can see in the case of Ruth. Ruth. We know the story of Ruth. Ruth and her mother-in-law Naomi. After Naomi's sons died and they had to go back to Bethlehem, and Ruth told her, my mother-in-law, wherever you're going, I will go with you. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. Where you go, I will go also. Naomi begged this lady, go back. You're still young. You can also still remarry. But Ruth decided not to. But that's not where I'm even going to. Where I'm going to is when Ruth got to Bethlehem with her mother-in-law Naomi, and they had to, look for ways to feed themselves. I mean, they just came back, they had nothing. And Ruth went into the field of Boaz and was there trying to gather one or two things in order to keep, body and soul alive. And then she got back home to her mother-in-law, and Naomi asked her, oh, where have you been? And she told her, I was in Boaz's field, and I was, I gathered all of these things, and this is what he gave me. Now, this is the part I want to talk about. Let's look at Ruth chapter 3. That's a very exciting part of the book. I mean, I'm sorry, I just have to read this out. In Ruth chapter 3, verse 3, Naomi said to Ruth, so wash yourself, put on some perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes. I mean, what better way to portray sexuality than looking good? If you as a woman can look good, smell nice, it's very important. It's not carnal. No, it's not. I mean, we've even seen the cases of where we have the alabaster box and perfumes smell good. It does not cost too much. Naomi advised Ruth to look good. Now, the Bible at one point said the younger women should learn from the older women. And Naomi, in this case, is the older woman. And she's teaching Ruth the way to go, the way to a man's heart, the way to, And then it says, when you are done with this, then you go to where he's threshing. Don't let him know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. Now, this is where sexuality is. Now, some people might say, am I trying to seduce the person? Am I trying to... No, my sister. Apart from even winning a man, looking good it's a mandate for a woman. Please look good. It's your superpower. Harness it, build it, grow it. And, I heard somewhere or read somewhere that research found out that in a case of an interview, more attractive people will get the job than less attractive people. I'm sorry, but research said it, not me. So if you look good, you are making ways for yourself. If you endure and enhance your sexuality, now I'm not saying go and seduce innocent man. No, I'm not saying, go out there exposing body parts or, indecent dressing and all of that. No, that is not. In fact, I don't even know how people find that sexual, because I feel you being fully clothed, you being well dressed, smelling good with a bright smile makes you very approachable and makes you very desirable. So yeah, that's our sexuality. That's the second superpower I'm talking about. Now, the third superpower is our reproductive ability. Yes. I always say something. God never put something in you by mere mistake. God did not say, okay, let me put a womb in a woman for fancy. No. God always, he does things deliberately. He does things because of a purpose. He has a purpose for everything. So he put a womb in us for a purpose. And we as women, we have this as a superpower. Our wombs house generations. We birth forth our own future. When they say, the future, imagine that you are carrying your future in your womb. And now it's what you make out of it that comes out. Look at the story of Hannah in the Bible. When Hannah prayed for a child, she had no child. She prayed for a child, and the Lord blessed her and opened her womb and gave her Samuel. We know the story of Samuel and how Samuel became a very powerful man. He became a prophet that people sought. People went to seek after him to find out, what is the Lord saying from him? Now, not because she only birthed forth this man, but she made a pledge, she made a vow to God that she was going to bring back this child to God. She was going to lead him in the path that the Lord would be pleased with. Now, as women, our wombs are not just to birth the child. You're not just, you give birth to the child and you dump the child. No, that is why we have that nurturing ability. We're supposed to nurture. We're supposed to train. We're supposed to groom. Now, I'm not ruling out the place of a man. Oh, no, not at all. The man is very much important. Thanks be to God, I have a very lovely and amazing dad. Now, I'm not ruling out the place of a man, but I'm focusing majorly, or permit me to focus majorly on the women, because we're honoring women today. So as women, we're not just to birth, we're also to nurture. We're also to groom. We're supposed to train the children. Train your own future. Imagine if you can see your future and then you decide what you want it to be. They say children are the future of tomorrow. And then you are the one that is housing this future. We have this ability to house our own future. And that is what we need to know. We need to harness this ability. Okay, we've spoken about Hannah and how she trained forth. She brought up her son Samuel. We also have the story of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Yes, I know you can say, Jesus is the savior of the world. He did not need much training, but I bet you he needed a womb. Yeah, he needed to be given birth to. He needed to be born. He needed that. And then what better person than a woman who also knows the way of the Lord, that has this ability? She knew her powers. Now, if we look at the first miracle Jesus performed, you can see the role of his mother there. People are like, there was no wine. And Jesus was there. Jesus, he was not even ready to perform any miracle. But for the word of his mother. Now, this shows that she had nurtured him to the point where he knew he had to at least listen to her words. Despite being the savior of the whole world, despite being God in flesh. So that's another person, that's another woman who used and harnessed her reproductive ability. We also have the story of Jochebed, the mother of Moses. We can see that even as she gave birth to Moses, she did not leave him there. She made sure he was protected. She even went as far as taking care of him with all the circumstances surrounding his birth. So these are women that actually put forth and put in place their reproductive abilities. Now, the last superpower I'm going to talk about is intuition. I mean, I've heard cases where a woman says, I don't know, but there's something off about this person. Or, I can't really lay my hands on it, but this person is a very good person. There's this sixth sense we have. There's this mindset that always kicks in, especially when it comes to taking care of our own. Now, let's look at the story of Abigail. Abigail, a wonderful woman. Honestly, I love this woman. She's just really amazing. Now, we can find the story in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 25 from verse 2 to 35. Now, Abigail was... the sense this woman had was just remarkable. Because we know the story of, for those that know the story, of course, the story of Nabal. Nabal was Abigail's wonderful husband. And the King David at that point, he had not been made king over everywhere. So he was still, battling and winning kingdoms. So David had stayed in the wilderness for a while, he and his men. And while in the wilderness, he took care of Nabal's properties. He took care of his sheep. He made sure, no harm came near them. And then David at one point sent a very detailed letter. David was very humble in this letter. I said, your dear friend, according to Good News Translation, your dear friend David has taken care of your sheep. I made sure no harm came near them. I did this, I did that. All I require is food and water. And Nabal, the wonderful man, was like, no, that he cannot use his hard-earned money, the things he has worked for, to feed people or slaves that are running away, to feed runaway slaves. And Nabal declined. He was like, no, he was not going to send food. He was not going to take care of anybody. He owed nobody anything. And when David heard this news, he was angry. David was furious. Immediately he told all his men, gather your swords, we are going to war. He gathered all his men and was ready to go and fight Nabal. Now a good servant, God bless this servant, went to Abigail and told her, see, this is what your husband did, and this is what David plans to do. What are you going to do? And that was what the question the servant asked her. What is your decision? And immediately the superpower of intuition kicked in. Abigail's sense kicked in, and immediately she gathered stuff, she prepared herself, and she mounted up her horse and then was going to look for David. And then on her way, she met David. And this woman did a very remarkable thing. She went down on her knees, fell at the feet of David, and said all wonderful things. Praised David. It was like, sir, please don't mind that my husband. I was not at home. If I was at home, I would have taken care of you. I would not have let this happen. I would have done this. Don't mind him. Please spare your humble servant. You know you are the king. We don't want more bloodshed on your hand. And she praised David in such a manner that even the man was paralyzed with her praise. He was like, wow. And then in 1 Samuel chapter 25 verse 33 exactly, let's read it. So 1 Samuel 25 verse 33. I like the way the Good News Translation says it. So David said to her, thank God for your good sense. In my words, thank God for your intuition and for what you have done today in keeping me from the crime of murder and from taking my own revenge. So David thanks God on behalf of this woman for her intuition, for her good sense. She was able to know what to do and how to do it and when to do it immediately. And this is what one power I believe every woman has. It's just that some people have not been able to grow this power or to groom it or to magnify it in such a way that it's very, very useful in their everyday life. But we as women have intuition. We got this. We know these things. I mean, you can just tell. Sometimes you don't know why, but you can just tell that this is not right or this is absolutely perfect. And it's, like I said earlier, it comes in or it kicks in, especially when it comes to do with our family, our loved ones, or even people that are close to us. We have this sixth sense. It's greater than the spider sense. I mean, if you don't already know by now, you know that I'm a Marvel fan with all of the Miss Marvel spider sense and all the things I'm saying. But yeah, we as women, we have this. And it's good for us to know that we can actually harness these powers. We can grow it. We can magnify it. We can make it much more than it is. So to every woman out there, to every young lady, every female out there, you got the power. You've got Siri. You've got sexuality, intuition, reproductive ability, and finally, you've got influence. Don't let anything stop you. And to all the men out there, be a supportive man. Don't be a villain in this story. Be a co-hero or a sidekick. I don't know, anyone you want to be, but as long as you're supporting the woman in your life. Now, she doesn't necessarily have to be able to fight off a battalion or to carry up or lift up heavy things. Not all superhero wear capes. We know that already. But she's got the superpower. Help her and harness it. Help her groom it. As a husband, help your wife. And you will see that you will have such a wonderful hero that will be working alongside you to protect, nurture, groom, and promote you. So happy International Women's Day to everybody out there, to every woman out there, to every sister, mother, wife, daughter. Happy International Women's Day to you. And thank you so much for listening. God bless you. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey today on Paulzpodz. We hope you found valuable insight and inspiration that resonates with your quest for meaning and purpose. But our journey doesn't end here. To stay connected with us and be a part of our vibrant community, make sure to follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or X as the case may be, and Facebook at paulzpodz. Further details can be found in our Linktree site. Also, share the wisdom you've gained from this episode with your friends and family. Together, we can inspire and empower more people to embark on their own path towards a life filled with meaning and purpose. If you've been profoundly moved by our discussions and would like to support the podcast, consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page. Your support enables us to continue bringing you thought-provoking content and explore even deeper depths of the spiritual and human experience. And finally, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Paulzpodz on your favorite podcast platform so you never have to miss an episode. Your continued presence and engagement mean the world to us. Until next time, keep seeking, keep sharing, and keep supporting each other on this remarkable journey. This is Paulzpodz Podcast, signing off. God bless your heart. And remember to always seek true meaning to life and live it.